So now we're going to light our candle. So if you have one and you'd like to do that, please do it with me now. We honor the light in all of us, that light that isn't always seen, but is always here. So we make the light visible by lighting our candles. And we take a moment just to honor the light that is in all of us, that sacred energy that is God, is of God, and us also. So as we put down our candle somewhere safe so that it can continue to glow throughout our service, we move to our opening affirmation and prayers together. I am now in the presence of pure being, immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. I acknowledge God's presence and power, which through divine wisdom within me erases my mortal limitations and brings forth the pure substance of love into our world through us all, according to God's perfect law. So let's take a moment to take that energy into the silence together. And know that immersion, that presence of pure being that is God, divine mind, divine heart. And let that energy fill us, become us, connect us with the divine in us, with each other, and with our amazing world. And as our daily word guides us today, let us be filled with awe and wonder at this amazing planet and creation and universe that we've been given the gift to experience. Let us align with that sacred energy that is God and know that divine wisdom, divine love through us is doing its amazing work. And as we acknowledge this for ourselves, let us know it for our world. For all that is unfolding on this planet, we see beyond the human experience to the spiritual truth that everyone is divine. Everyone has that spark of the divinity in them. Let's hold that vision as part of our theme today of imagination, of that divine light within everybody, lighting up. And let us take a moment to also acknowledge the privilege that it is by being here together and the honor of holding that light and knowing that light for all people everywhere. And so it is. Amen. Because it is Mother's Day today, I asked Josephine, when she said yes to reading our daily word message for today, to share one that is reflecting the fact that it's Mother's Day. So we've chosen one that's from 2024. So thank you, Paul, for sharing the daily word, and thank you to Josephine, who is going to read it for us.
Thank you, Kimerie. On this Mother's Day, we take a moment to honor and bless the loving presence of mothers and caregivers everywhere. Today, daily words, Mother's Present, taken from Sunday, May 12, 24, booklet. Affirmation: I honor and bless the world's mothers. Today, I offer a blessing of gratitude for the loving, nurturing spirit of mothers. I bless my mother and those who have shared a mother's love by supporting me throughout my life. I think of the many ways they have been present for me over the years with unconditional acceptance and love. I envision all the mothers, grandmothers, and caregivers throughout the world, surrounded by love and light. For those in my life, I take time to express my appreciation with words, gifts, and time together. To mothers to be, I prayerfully affirm health and ever deepening love. To mothers no longer in the world, I hold them in loving prayer and hold thoughts of joy and gratitude. I bless their souls' ongoing journeys, knowing bounds of love keep their memories alive. The Bible reading was taken from Proverbs 31:28. Her children rise up and called her happy. Let us affirm together once as we honor and bless the world's mothers. May all who have nurtured love in our lives be blessed today and always, and hold in our hearts mothers everywhere, especially those facing hardship and living in places of conflict.
I wanted to talk about the power of imagination to tie into our Lenten booklet, that theme that we've got this year. And I've invited three speakers to share their thoughts. So I want to say thank you, first of all, to Elizabeth, to Steve, and to Nuala, who all said yes to sharing a little bit about their experiences on using the power of our imagination. And just to lead us into that, just for a few moments, I've got a few quotes and things I wanted to share just to kind of build up the energy of it. And one of the things I wanted to begin with actually is Angus, you use in your meditations these beautiful words, we are the light of the world and love is our only function. And it's such a powerful message and one we don't always believe and might need the gift of imagination to call forth to recognize. But it's backed up in Isaiah chapter 60, verses 1 to 3. It's written, arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon you. For darkness shall cover the earth, and thick darkness the peoples. But the Lord will arise upon you, and his glory will appear over you. Nations shall come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your dawn. So the challenge is for all of us to let our light shine in our own ways that we can, in it as we show up and know that the Lord, the Christ energy within us, is guiding us to this. Because essentially we are all divine. As we said in the meditation at the beginning, every single one of us has a light within us. And it's not always easy to see that light and imagine that light when people aren't acting in their love and wisdom. But that's our role, to hold a vision of this light. And perhaps is the greatest use of our imagination to hold that vision. So we're invited to hold a vision of world peace. We've been doing it in Unity since this recent event with Iraq and Iran has been unfolding, we're invited to imagine and know wholeness, success, abundance, harmony, and daily word today, one with all creation. To experience God as energy flowing in us and through us and as us. To bring forth our limitless potential, to express who and what we really are, to live our light, to be the light. And the power of imagination aligned with our thoughts and our feelings is indeed a superpower. We can use it to expand, to grow, or we can use it to contract, to shrink. There is our choice. Do we want to grow and expand with our imagination, or do we let fear and worry shut us down? Imagination works both ways. It's simply a power that is for us to use in the way that we use it. But it's certainly a tool we can develop and practice. It's one I have to do because imagination for me doesn't always come so easily. I don't walk into a room necessarily and see how it could be even more perfect. I find it difficult to imagine a house or a room it's absolutely perfect when I walk into a place that's cluttered or untidy or dirty or whatever. So I know for me, imagination is a tool I want to practice and keep doing it in a positive way. Affirmations help us, prayer helps us, color and drawing pictures can help us. That desire, that feeling of having a clean room and a clean house drives forward. So what vision do you have? How can imagination be used in your life? That's the question today. Because as we are reminded in Philippians chapter 4, verse 8, finally, beloved, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is pleasing, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence and if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. So as individuals, we have that power of imagination to use to expand us and grow us. And now I'm going to hand over to our three guest speakers who have something to share, I hope, on the power of imagination. And I'm so grateful for all of you. Thank you for being here today. So Elizabeth, we'll turn to you first, and then Steve, and then Nuala. So thank you, Elizabeth.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm quoting quite a few dates here for the purpose of following the timeline. And yes, the superpower of imagination. On November the 22nd, 1963, the 35th President of the United States of America, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, was assassinated in Dallas, Texas. I was 14 at that time, an age when you absorb like a sponge all that was happening in the world and having teenage crushes on celebrities. For me, it was Sean Connery as James Bond, the Beatles, and President Kennedy, a handsome, charismatic man. Some, maybe not, will remember the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962, when the Soviet arms buildup in Cuba threatened a nuclear war, which fortunately was resolved. I felt that JFK had saved the world. He was my hero. I just adored the man. So when that tragic event happened, I was brokenhearted. I followed everything through, and when he was finally laid to rest, I imagined myself there paying my respects. The years passed, but every anniversary, I imagined myself there. In 2001, I joined White Chiropractic Clinic here in Edinburgh as Dr. White's secretary. Twice a year, he took his staff to chiropractic seminars in the States. So in 2004, I was heading to a seminar in Dallas, Texas. I was going to Dallas. So 41 years on, I was there at the Dealey Plaza and visited the former Texas School Book Depository from where the shots were fired from the 6th floor. There again, so many different theories as to what actually happened, but that was my take. The building is now home to the 6th floor museum to remember and reflect on the events of November 1963. What an experience that was. Quite an emotional impact. But I was so grateful to be there. In 2013, Kimerie organised a visit to Unity Village with the plan of staying a few days afterwards at either Chicago or Washington, D.C. Washington was chosen. Oh my goodness, Arlington National Cemetery, here I come. So, as in my imagination, but then in reality, I stood at JFK's resting place and I paid my respects to him 50 years on. On looking back through it now, my emotional state is gratitude for the freedom of experiencing completion. Never underestimate the superpower of imagination, nor underestimate the universe working for you with events that fall into place to move from imagination to reality. I hope you enjoyed my story of the power of imagination. I certainly enjoyed recalling it. Thank you.
That was lovely. Yes, I'm a bit young to remember all of that, but I
Yeah.
really
Yes, most
connected
people
with,
are.
yeah, but I really connect with that energy. Yeah, thank you. That was lovely, Elizabeth. Bless you, sweetheart. Okay, Steve.
It's a curious coincidence, but I could talk for hours about imagination, and so the difficulty is actually what to do in 5 minutes. But actually, I thought I'm very similar to Elizabeth. I've chosen three little moments in time. I've dedicated my 77 years to the imagination hugely, writing in all sorts of different formats, storytelling in all sorts of different formats for most of my life. So it's a huge, huge intellectual, emotional, spiritual investment in imagination. But for this 5 minutes, I'm going to choose three moments in my life, like Elizabeth. One is when I was 9. Each story has a beginning, middle, and end, and this is going to begin. And I think Elizabeth's was like that, beginning, middle, and end, and that's what story is about: beginning, middle, and end, creating a form around what sometimes seems a bewildering world. At the age of 8 or 9, I found myself. I don't know why this was. I found myself in front of my primary school class in South Wales, telling stories, improvising stories, not reading out of the mouth, improvising to my class. And it seemed like this was a regular thing. I mean, this is what I did regularly. I don't know how it happened, but I did. And the story would start, like all children's stories, once upon a time, there was a boy called, and I'd pause, and all the boys would sort of put up their hands, and me. And I'd say, Bill. And he was walking down the road, and he met at a girl called, and then all the girls would raise their hands. And I'd say, Nancy, and so on and so forth. And I'd tell the story, improvised. Don't know how it happened. And I recall that with great joy because it was the beginning of my storytelling, and I just did it out of I say it's a mystery, and I think one of the interesting things about the imagination is it's a mystery, not like science. Science we can kind of cause and effect. Imagination is a bit of a mystery. Anyway, I do know how it ended. It ended when I got frightened. One day I stood in front of the class and I got self-conscious and frightened, and I couldn't do it anymore. And that was the end of that. And that sort of, life is like a sort of this way, that way. And that was the sort of other aspect that in my life. I've had to deal with a lot of fear in my life, a lot of anxiety. So on the one hand, this desire to express myself and speak, tell stories, and then the fear. Anyway, fast forward to 1978. I'm again like Elizabeth, I'm using dates. 1978, and I'm in London. I'm in my late 20s. And stop me if I go over the 5 minutes, Kimerie, because I'm improvising. As you can tell, I'm not sort of reading it, I'm improvising. So I thought I needed to improvise like I did in front of the children at school. Anyway, 1978, I'm at film school. As a mature student, I went to film school, and I'm in this very competitive film school, away from Wales, away from my comfort zone, terrified, fear, anxiety. And I've got to make my first film. So I go back to Wales to make my first film, and it's not an easy process. It's quite difficult. It's quite hard, and I'm very uncertain about it, very nervous about it, very anxious about it. But I sort of make it about aspects of my own life. And anyway, despite the odds, despite the difficulties, the film does rather well. And it's only in recent years that I look back on that experience and I thought, how is it that the best, in fact, it's one of the best things I've ever done was done in a state of neurosis, a state of anxiety, a state of uncertainty, a state of pain. My marriage wasn't going very well. In fact, it was going dreadfully. How was it that I could produce this thing that actually was pretty good? You know, not perfect, but pretty good. And it's the thing, suffering and storytelling. Stories come out of pain. Stories come out of pain. There's a little truism in the film business, which is if you have a great shoot, beware, because the film might not be very good. If you have a tough shoot, it's more likely the film's going to be good. Pain and storytelling. Anyway, fast forward now to 1989, and I am sober for the first time for a number of years. I've been drinking, I've been an alcoholic, and I joined AA. And soon after that, I make the first film that I make in sobriety. And again, I'm quite anxious about it. And strange to say, the reason I'm making this film, which is a big film, the first film I described a moment ago, was a very small film made for just a few £1,000 film school film. Now I'm making a big film with lots of money and attached, and we're filming in Luxembourg, and I'm very fearful. But the one day I'm in Luxembourg, and I'm terrified. I'm absolutely terrified, and I'm the star of the film is a 12-year-old girl, and who's never acted before, and so I've got to sort of direct this 12-year-old girl. Absolutely terrified. And we've been looking at locations, and it's been a very tiring day, and we're at this hotel in Luxembourg, and I say, look, I'm going to have a little rest. I'm going to go back into the hotel room, and people around me say, yeah, that's fine, you go. And I go into the hotel room and I fall asleep, and I have a dream, and in the dream there's this, and I think Nuala's going to like this bit. There's this sort of young figure kneeling next to the bed. And I think it's a woman, but I'm not quite sure. And she speaks to me at great length in a language that I don't understand. She speaks lots of things to me in this dream. Goes on and on and on. And that's it. And I wake up and I think, gosh, what did that? And I'm certain that it was like an angel. I was certain of it. I just felt. Never happened to me before, never happened to me again. But what was strange was this language that I didn't, there was words were being spoken to me on and on and on and on. I had no idea. When I woke up, I had no idea what the words were. Anyway, I got up. There was the assistant director sort of knocked on my door, and this was a strange moment. I opened the hotel suite door, and she said, "Are you okay?" And she was sort of just thinking, am I all right? Because I said I was tired. I said, yeah, fine. She said, oh, great. And she went out, and I closed it, and I thought, what's going on here? Anyway, I made that film. I wasn't fearful at all making that film from then on. Wasn't fearful at all. And film's not perfect. And I'm not going to say much more because I'm sure my 5 minutes is well and truly over. But and I don't know what I've meant by these three experiences, but for me, imagination is very mysterious, absolutely spirit. It's the alliance with spirit is absolutely there, and it's what keeps me going. Absolutely keeps me going. Imagination, and also as an audience, not just as a maker. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Nuala.
Yes, well, I have too many stories about how imagination worked for me, so I took a different track altogether. I just concentrated on how I see imagination. So I see imagination as the architect of my mind, as a wonderful facility that forms a bridge between my consciousness and my physical world. I use trust and gratitude as building blocks for the foundation and manifestation of all my ideals. Rather like an architect must see the completed building even before the first brick is put in place, I use my wonderful imagination to see the completed project. And I give thanks, just as Jesus did, even before I have concrete evidence of the finished work. So for me, giving thanks at the start is an act of faith that my dreams and ideals will be made real in my physical world. You see, I subscribe to the idea that thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. So I'm very careful about and very discerning about the thoughts I encourage. I know that if something is for my highest good and the good of all those concerned, and that's very important to me as well now, that it will be made real for me. I don't have to concern myself too much, and I don't anymore, about how and when my dreams will be realized. I do not concern myself how and when my dreams are made manifest. I only believe and give thanks that they will be. How and when is for the master architect to decide. I just show up, do my bit with faith and love, and leave the rest to divine mind. That's the way imagination works for me. And so we're going to go into a little meditation now. And I invite you to take a moment to relax. Close your eyes. Take the 3 sacred breaths. Allow your shoulders to soften and feel the chair supporting you. Now, imagine something you would love to experience in your life. Something you can visualize with faith and love, and then hold that vision for a few moments.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Nuala, Stephen, Elizabeth. Lovely to hear your reflections and experiences on imagination. So yes, James Dillett Freeman said it frees us from the limitation of our senses. So hopefully each one of us somehow has been made free from any sense of limitation, so that each one of us can step forward and be the light, express the divinity that we really are, and step into the mystery and the majesty that is life. Divine love expressing through me and as me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive, and my awareness of all that I am. So there are the opportunities to give if you wish to support our ministry, but I thank all of you for being here this afternoon and taking part, especially our speakers today. So let's speak the prayer for protection together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Amen. So anyway, there you are, folks. That's all, folks. Let me just ask you to unmute if you'd like to. But thank you so much to all of you, and have an imaginative afternoon. Do something different.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
It was great.
Lovely. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you for your
Thank
stories.
you so much. Lovely.
Thank you.